Hi, welcome to this introduction to Hippo version 3.1, the tool to manage, optimise and control your informatica environment. This is the first of a series of videos. Each of the videos will focus on a particular function within Hippo. However, this video is a little different. This just gives you a high-level taste of what these functions are. So let me begin by focusing on the menu here on the left-hand side of the screen and looking at Notification Center. Notification Center allows you to define rules which, if they're broken, result in alerts being raised and sent to you by email. The kinds of rules that you can define are for processes that cover everything from the failure of an integration service to the elapsed time for a process being breached, or thresholds in memory and CPU resource being exceeded. Next we have the dashboard. The dashboard contains the 6 most commonly used charts within Hippo. There are over 100 charts within Hippo, and these 6 give a general overview of the state of your informatica environment. You can choose a different 6 if you like at the time of installation of Hippo. These 6 charts focus on elapsed time by folder, overall metrics for data movement within your environment, overall metrics for failures versus successes versus rejections, and if you hover your mouse over, you get the percentage and the category. Likewise, if you hover your mouse over the folders, you get the folder name and its percentage. If you scroll down, we get memory percentage used by project and CPU breakdown by project, and finally at the bottom, data movement by project. Okay, let's look at resources. Resources analyses CPU, memory, data movement and file directory usage in a set of 4 menu choices, each with up to 8 charts analysing resource usage and availability by project, by node, by workflow and by session. So let's look at memory as an example. So we have cache size by project, we have memory metrics, memory availability, memory used, memory free by node, and we have percentage physical memory by project, and if I click show legend, then the legend explaining what each of the colours corresponds to in terms of projects is displayed. And then if we scroll further down, we have processes by memory used, which is both informatica and non-informatica processes on the hosts which we're monitoring. So that's one key thing to note about Hippo. It doesn't just monitor and analyse informatica, it monitors non-informatica processes as well. If we scroll further down the screen, we have tasks ranked by memory used. This is the top 10 most memory intensive tasks in our environment over a chosen time frame, and also we have workflows by memory used. So an example there of the kind of analysis within resources, and in the function specific video on resources you'll find out a great deal more about what these functions are. Okay, so let's click on vital signs, and vital signs gives us a real-time view of the status of the domains, repositories and services within our informatica environment. It's primarily designed for informatica administrators. There's no need to update it, it constantly refreshes, and as soon as a service goes down, then the relevant icon turns red. Next up we have Activity Monitor, and Activity Monitor in Hippo provides 2 views. Real-time puts all of the activity in your environment onto a single screen. So that's across all of the integration services, repositories, domains and so on in your environment, all into a single place. You can drill down from the Activity Monitor into individual workflows and sessions. Activity Monitor also gives you a historic view, so that's a historic view of the entire history of activity in your environment. You can apply filters, and you can apply filters by project, repository, folder, workflow and so on. You can also drill down again from within this screen into the individual executions of workflows or sessions that you would like to drill into. Green indicates that the execution was successful, amber indicates that it was successful but that rows were dropped, and red indicates that the execution failed. Let's go back to the menu on the left hand side and select search. Within search there are 6 sub-menu options. The first 3 focus on folders, workflows and tasks. They're fairly straightforward, intuitive name type searching. If we click on resource usage, this is where Hippo gets interesting in terms of searches. We can select search type by memory, CPU, cache size, cache spilled to disk and time to first row. All we need to do is select the search type, enter a threshold, press the search button, and Hippo will return any sessions which exceed the threshold you've set. We can also search by executed SQL, so you can take the SQL from your database console, plug it into Hippo, and Hippo will tell you which session was responsible for the execution of that SQL. And here we're talking about the fully resolved SQL statement, the actual SQL statement which it executes in the database. So it's an invaluable way for DBAs to trace which sessions are responsible, perhaps for long-running SQL statements or for orphan SQL statements in the database. We can also search by design features. One example that we have here is SQL overrides, but others can be added. Then we have analysis. Analysis has 4 sub-menu options, and the idea of analysis is that it's a workshop for Informatica developers to drill down and become a launch point for tuning activities, highlighting where the main tuning opportunities exist by highlighting the most resource-intensive workflows and sessions in your environment. Okay, let's return to the menu on the left-hand side and look at capacity planning. This function within Hippo groups together all of the capacity planning information in Hippo. So we have CPU analysed by node and by project. We have memory trends analysed by node and by project. And we have data movement trends analysed by node and by project. You can choose as long or as short a time frame as you like, and Hippo will give you the trends for these areas across those timelines. Next we have timeline itself. Timeline is a unique feature within Hippo. It gives a unique perspective on how the resources available in your environment are being shared between and consumed by the workflows and sessions that are active at any particular point in time. Use the bar at the bottom of the screen to move along the timeline and then zoom in on a particular point in time to see resources and processes displayed alongside each other. So we can take a particular period of time that we're interested in, previous 24 hours in this case, and we can look at how activity has mirrored the execution of individual workflows and sessions during this time. These individual blue lines and dots represent individual sessions. You can show the labels, you can show the names, you can also hover your mouse over them and get the start time and end time and the session name. It's a very intuitive way to diagnose, for example, a slow running session overnight. You can go straight to that time frame and you can work out which other processes were running in contention with your session, and you can also look to see what percentage of CPU and of memory resource was being utilised during the operation of your session. So it gives you a very quick way to perhaps get to the answer of what's caused your slow running session. Next we have administrator. So in administrator we get all of the administration functions within Hippo, such as the ability to manage users, to define the configuration of Hippo, which hosts, nodes, repositories and so on you're going to monitor. And notice that covers the 10 of the 12 menu options. I did mention there were 12, so let me say what these other 2 are. If you click on folder analysis, for example, and we go down to top workflows, then we see lists of workflows, and anywhere you see a workflow name in Hippo or a session name, you can click on that workflow or session name and drill down. So let me click on this workflow here, and when I do that we drill down into that individual execution of that workflow and we get lots of useful information. You can see, however, on the left hand side a new menu option has appeared, workflow, and there are sub options, execution, workflow trends and history. They're fairly self-explanatory. Now this particular workflow only executes one session. So here's an example of how we can drill down to an individual session. If I click on that session, then you'll see that a new menu option has appeared on the left hand side, and this is the 12th option. This is task. Task is a deep dive into an individual execution of a session. We can look at the individual transformations within the session, and we can profile their behaviour and their resource consumption. For example, we can look at the cache statistics for this individual transformation, and we can look at actual size, advised size, build time and so on. But there's lots more to task than just that. We can also look at data movement for this individual task. So we can look at source statistics and target statistics. If there were partitions, we could look at these statistics across the partitions. We can look at lookup statistics and commit points are graphed at the bottom. You can see here that our commit points are beginning to tail off, which perhaps indicates that this might be a heavily indexed target table. We can look at resource consumption for this individual session, CPU and memory, and we can also look at the trends for this individual session. So we look at the trends in terms of elapsed time. It's a fairly constantly running process, as you can see here. And we can look at task profile trends, and we can look at cache size trends and memory trends, task throughput. So a great deal of information about individual execution of a task. Thank you for your attention. This brings us to the end of this short introduction to Hippo. I hope you can join us for more Hippo videos which drill down into the individual functions in more detail. Thank you.